Good morning, everybody. Thank you for attending this month's edition of the Buffalo DUG Meetup. My name is Ruby Petruska here with Andrea Hall. Very excited to get our second meeting going. Slide.
Yep.
Okay. Very excited. We have Tom Doran here today. He's going to talk about AI and what it means for Microsoft Dynamics. Andrea is going to go through our DUG user group slides and tell you what DUG is all about. And then we're going to do a poll and start laying out 2024, who we are, do some introductions, kind of take some temperature of the group and see what it is that you would like to see moving forward. Andrea, do you want to continue with the DUG slides?
That'd be great. Thanks, Ruby.
Thank you.
Welcome, everybody. So Dynamics User Group is our host for Meetups, and they are huge proponents of our community, those who use the system, support the system, the whole Microsoft Dynamics ecosystem and the add-ons. So a wonderful group. It's free to be a member. Obviously, you guys found us through DUG, but we'd love for you to help us grow the community, because there's nothing better than learning from people who are on the front lines using the system and already solving problems that we can help each other out with that. The Dynamics User Group offers lots of ways that you can engage with the community and get information. Meetups like this. They also host educational webinars, and I want to call out the forum. So online, you can simply post questions. When you've hit a divot, you have a snag, you can post a question, and it goes to the whole community of tens of thousands of people who, maybe have figured it out and can help provide an answer for you. So you can also be a great community member and help answer questions that are posted up there. So wanted to call out all the different options and ways that they bring the community together. Also, in addition to the local meetups like ours today for Buffalo, they also are having 6 larger regional meetups. So the Northeast one is yet to be announced. That might be interesting for us to see where it is, and maybe we can get together in person and meet more people in the community. Dynamics User Group also hosts a fantastic in-person conference each year. It's coming up in May. It's in Denver. It is not too late to register. There's hundreds of educational sessions, and hopefully almost 2,000 people are expected to be at this event. So tons of people to meet and talk to and learn from. So there's still discounts available. So make sure that you check out that. If you're using these dynamic systems, this is the place to be, to fill in the gaps you have and help you further your knowledge so you can use the systems even more in your business. There's also, this is not a DUG event, but a partnership that they're doing. So if you're interested in this, there's a pre-conference that you might want to check out. More information you can look up and check out. And they also host a virtual conference, and it's going to be in November this year. And it's actually the window where you could submit topics for sessions. It's voted on by the community, so the most popular topics that everyone wants to know about will be featured at the virtual conference. So here's your opportunity to contribute to the community, as well as from the comfort of your own office, participate and continue with your knowledge. So just wanted to highlight lots of ways that the Dynamics User Group adds value. It's free to be a member. We encourage people to participate. So thank you, DUG, for hosting us today. And we're excited to have Tom Doran here today, a long-time, deeply embedded expert in our industry working with these systems. And thank you, Tom, for being here and sharing your insights with us today.
Well, thank you, Andrea, and thanks, Ruby, and really thanks to all of you that participate in these local user groups. You know, the national conferences are really just the opportunity to get all the local groups together with all of their like-minded peers. And so I really get excited about the local user groups. I think this is where it really, the rubber meets the road. And, you know, today we're going to talk just a little bit about what AI might mean within the Microsoft Dynamics community. Obviously, all of us are buzzing. You're hearing it in the news. You're talking to friends and people are making jokes on Facebook, but AI is a hot topic and for good reason. So Andrea has kindly offered to take care of a technical issue I was having. So Andrea, can we go to the next slide? Thank you. So, you know, really, you know, where do I come from? Had spent some time in frozen food manufacturing. We had some restaurants, we had some lunch trucks. Then I stumbled into the ERP world, and frankly, nobody ever asked me to leave, and so I just stuck around. Next slide, Andrea, please. So what are we going to talk about? And it really, I'm not going to read you the agenda, but we're going to try to keep it because I have 14 and a half minutes, I think Ruby said. No, she told me I could have 20, but I can't go longer. So we're going to be a little bit high level, but hopefully we trigger some conversation, some thought, and you can take this back and continue the conversation on your own. Can we have the next slide too, please? So what just happened, right? Human beings don't like change, particularly accountants, right? For 700 years, double entry accounting really hasn't changed all that much. But right now, there is tremendous change going on. And so when people hear about AI and they think about, you know, the machines taking over, it's scary. The accountants worry about what kind of expenses involved in getting it live. And then obviously the risk of, you know, what happens if it doesn't work. Will you go to the next one? And we're not going to stay here long, but, you know, with just a little bit of humor, the idea here, right, is if we don't have some strategy around this, we may miss an opportunity. And so if you go to the next slide, please, you know, think about the changes that we have all, well, not all, for those of us that are over 50, have all, you know, experienced all the way back. You know, people get all excited about cloud computing. You know, they used to call those service bureaus, right? You outsourced your AR and they printed your list and sent out your invoices on these big computers that nobody could afford. Well, so now we walk through and we think about all the things that have changed the way we work. If you go to the next slide, please, Andrea, and we'll rest and click fairly quickly. But AI is just another one of these opportunities. And so we're going to think about the opportunities. We're going to talk about some of the risks, and we're going to think about how we can use these tools within Dynamics. But you know, the one thing I would caution you, and think back to 1996, 7, 8. If you had a website in 96, 97, man, you were, woo, that was some high tech marketing right there, right? Well, today, everybody has a website. You can whip up a website in about 15 minutes on one of these platforms. Everybody has a website. It's table stakes. AI is going to be a very similar, my prediction, but AI is going to be very similar types of technologies, and good that you get your head around how you can apply it now. So if you go to the next slide, you know, again, it's about opportunity. Andrea, did you hit my next slide for me? And, you know, if we go one more, remember, we're not actually inventing anything, but we need to keep track and report against large amounts of data. So will you go to the next slide, please, Andrea? And you just think about some of the things that is a mashup. So I was in an AI conversation with someone recently, and they're like, well, that's not AI, that's machine learning. And this is, nothing more than a workflow. Well, AI is simply a machine that can iterate and learn and build upon, whether you call it machine learning or a workflow. When you bring AI behind it to help those tools move faster, be more accurate. If any of you have followed the bank reconciliation or the AP matching tools within Business Central over the years, you've already seen them getting better. But here's all the areas, not even all, a list of areas where we have opportunity to think about how do we automate the process, drive down the cost of the transaction, and ultimately become more efficient. Next slide, please. Risks, and this is where people get nervous, but there's a picture that I show at some point, but when's the last time you saw a steno pool when you walked through a business? Everybody had offices of people who typed up all types of things that had to be manually recorded. Those people do something else now. So thinking about how we plan, retrain, how we handle data security. So to remember that our data has to be rock solid, and how we restrict or allow access to that data, whether through the AI tool or something else, we need strategy around that. Because if we haven't really thought through the process, this thing can unravel on you pretty quickly. Many people know, but I'm shocked by the people that don't know. Unless you take steps to prevent it, it's really easy to post something, up into ChatGPT and have it end up in the public domain. And so we want to be careful about, what information we share, what information we don't share. So Andrea, next slide, please. AI is not going to replace all the humans, right? It's not magic, but it is probably the coolest automation tool I've seen recently, particularly in how fast it is learning. It's only been about 2 years since this thing barely returned an intelligible web search. At recent Microsoft conferences, I've seen it correct a warehouse entry with reservations against it. For the Microsoft partners in the room, like that's a pretty common support call. When a customer has to back out a warehouse entry that has reservation, it's complicated. The developers had a little side panel opened up in the back boxes area. They typed in how to reverse this transaction, and it said, okay, here's the steps. Would you like that to happen? Boom. And they did it. And it made all the entries and reversed everything just like magic. It was cool. And so I think we're going to see AI take off in areas like that within our Dynamics environment. So if we go to the next one, please, Andrea. So what do we do next? If you're not looking at the bank rec automation tools that are within your Business Central system, I'd strongly recommend you do that. Whether you use Kofax or you use one of the other great AP automation tools, getting expense management and AP as fully automated as possible, and then using, another extension on AI. So optical character recognition, right? OCR. Well, now you mash that up with AI and things learn quicker. quicker. It does a better job of matching. And so the heavy lift associated with implementing these systems is coming down, and the tools are much more accurate. Document management, workflows. These are all tools that you likely are sitting on in your environment right now. And so really looking at how you can drive down your transactional expense and scale your volume using a tool that you don't have to go out and buy. You own some of these, so let's try to use them. These are great user group topics. Shameless plug for Andrea and Ruby. But, you know, as you plan out your remainder of the year meetings, maybe you tackle some of these topics. Hey, we want to make sure everybody's using the automated bank rec features and the bank integrations. So we're going to do a couple of sessions. So if you come to this user group meeting, maybe you learn that. End of shameless plug. But there's a great way to structure your meetings on a topic that you might be interested in. So if you like the AI topic, if you're interested in how you expand it in a meaningful, fairly inexpensive way, these are ways that you could roll these out, you know, at your company. So, you know, it all starts. So let's go to the next one. Whether this matters to you or not has a lot to do with your business plans. Where are you trying to go in your business? What is the market you're trying to serve asking for? And how do we do it better, faster, cheaper? Right? That's the formula in every single business. You have a addressable market, and now you're trying to serve that market with sticky customers, better, faster, cheaper. And so AI has to line up with your business plan. And now you can roll through the next, because these are mostly bullet points, Andrea. So if you would just enter maybe 2 or 3 times there, you'll start to see that, again, these are tools that AI is going to improve. And we, you know, I keep saying AI, but we're in a Microsoft world. So every place you see Copilot, you know, think AI. They're trying to humanize it. It's, you know, we'll give it a name and it'll be like a family pet pretty soon. It just follows us around and makes us happy. But, you know, these are areas that should influence our strategy as it relates to our all-up business plan. So we look at those areas that we could be quicker. We can look at the data that we get from our customers and prospective customers, because there's troves of website data when people show up, and how we apply analytics against that data can start to surface some really interesting information that can help you help a customer self-serve, because that's what customers want, and that's what our websites are for. So then, you know, and then that last one is one of my favorites, right? Where do things get stuck? Where does friction occur in your business, either from following up from that prospect or through our internal process, where we have to make sure that we're getting the appropriate sign-offs? Those are all opportunities for improved workflows and becoming more efficient. So then let's go to the next one. And while Microsoft's not alone, this is a Dynamics user group, so I'm guessing that we're all Microsoft platform people. And, you know, Microsoft has a lot to say. So if you'll hit enter one more time, a lot of people made a lot of noise about the OpenAI investment, right? $10 billion, that's nothing to sneeze at. Actually, it was 10 billion as a follow-on investment to the first couple billion. But they're investing money all over the place. This is a massive initiative for Microsoft. So if you enter again for me, Andrea, in Australia, there's a $5 billion project all around AI infrastructure, right? You don't hear a lot about these types of investments. When you look at what they're investing in your Business Central solution and how Copilot interacts with Word, Excel, Outlook, Teams, and now soon to be much more with Business Central. And you're going to see how we are accustomed to interfacing with our systems is going to fundamentally change. I think for the better. So if you go to the next one, please. So, as you start to think about where you can find these tools and how they can apply, I think some of these are pretty awesome platforms for Microsoft-based businesses, right? If you like somebody else's AI flavor, that's great. But if you're in the Microsoft stack, I think these are some pretty powerful tools that you can build on. So if we go to the next slide, and I always try to give John Klebb credit because he's the first one who really turned me on to this digital Darwinism. But I really have always liked this. And there's a whole bunch of flavors. But the point is that our business, any business that's still in business today that's been around 20, 30, 40 years, we have adapted to many changes in the markets over time. And our strategy around AI, this is just one more tool. I see Tony Darden in the audience. And so I just think about when 3D printing really got legit and how much faster we can prototype a part than we used to, right? That's some game-changing stuff. I think the opportunities around AI represent that type of opportunity in your business for your customers. And the way to do the best at it is to start to talk about it early, align it with your business strategy, and use it like any of the other tools to better serve your customers. So hopefully I've left us about 5 or 6 minutes, but I think that's the end of the slides. Do we have questions or any of those topics ring a bell with somebody you want to go a little further on in our last few minutes? Is everyone awake?
Yeah. Tom, thank you. That is a great presentation. I was just taking a couple of notes because we're for those on the call, Tony Darden. I work with Protective Industries. I work alongside Ruby Petruska, who was leading this DUG Meetup with Andrea. Thank you both for that. But AI, it's been a buzzword for us in a long time. Our CEO has talked with, I bet you 50 employees cross-functionally, trying to get a sense of AI perceptions in the business, looking for ideas that could help be game changers for us and against our competitors. So what really resonated with me, Tom, is you calling this out as it's going to be table stakes. I definitely agree with you. Your analogy on the website was a great one. And I bet you I've taken on at least a dozen different vendor cold calls just to start this year and in this AI space. And I think something like 6,000 companies claim to be in this AI market. So there's a lot of white noise, but I've also found a lot of singles and doubles out there. Haven't found that home run ball. So I like the measured approach in embracing the Microsoft tech stack, which we are a Microsoft shop, that governs our manufacturing ability. And that investment slide was interesting to me because I think it speaks to laying bricks. And so companies like us, and for those on the phone, I think focusing on laying your own bricks is important because at some point, when it reaches that table stakes reality, you're all the more prepared and equipped for what we don't know yet. I don't know if I'm making sense here. And so we are investing time and energy into shoring up our infrastructure, shoring up our data. Because I think AI, even though the intelligence part is supposed to be able to discern what might not be perfect data, today's reality is you need nice, clean, structured data for it to go hog wild on. So that's what we're putting a lot of our time and energy on. But this really resonated with me, and thank you for that content.
Well, thanks for the comments. You touched on something, and I want to, because, customers come in all shapes and sizes, right? Dynamics users do. And so, hey, great. If you're doing strategic planning and, as Tony and the team at Protective Industries are, and you're aligning and looking at leveraging AI, fantastic. What I would simply say is, look, not everybody has to be a leader, but don't be a resistor. You can let Tony go first, but pay attention to the results he's getting. And then once you think it's safe, get in the pool. Because if you ignore this stuff, it will become evident, and you will not be as efficient or as customer friendly as I think new customers were going to come to expect.
I think too, I'm so grateful to be using and supporting Microsoft Dynamics solutions, because if AI felt new and confusing, or I'm not sure what to do with it yet, thanks to Microsoft's investment, they're embedding it in the solutions we're already using, we're already comfortable with, so that we can take a comfortable baby step into bank reconciliation. And we can start to get a feel for it, start to gain trust and comfort with it. And then, I think we'll be ahead of the game where we can figure out what's next with AI, because Microsoft is putting it in our daily lives already in manageable, comfortable ways. And I think it's, per your encouragement, Tom, it's up to us to challenge ourselves to try those on for size and start feeling what it's like to leverage and harness AI, so that we can, to Tony's point, really be strategic and thinking about what else can we do with it. So I'm grateful to be part of the Microsoft ecosystem in that regard.
I don't know, real quick, I know we're tight, but I'll just say this for the skeptics in the room. So, maybe you saw the Super Bowl commercial, but Copilot, your daily companion, right? Like, I'm not going to go all 1984 on you, but I'm telling you, this is no joke. And Microsoft is they are all in on this topic. And, we're on a Teams call right now. And when Microsoft was laying their own fiber lines 20 years ago, they said, oh, no problem. You phone companies, don't worry about us over here. We're just going to have our own pipe. Watch. They're making the same play on AI, and it's going to be just like Teams. It's going to be just like the tools they went all in on. I think it's going to be every place.
And Andrea, one thing what stuck out of me when you were commenting, I hear safe bet in my head. Microsoft, $20 billion plus investment to date. The investment slide you showed about Australia. I would say we're a conservative company. We're not, R&D is not in our DNA per se, especially on technology. But we are Microsoft committed, and it just feels like the safe bet. So our challenge is back to how do you shore up your data? 20 years ago, disparate systems could work. And not that they don't work today, but if for other companies on the call, if I have 5 different ERP systems, maybe you're coalescing around a data repository and doing some reporting off of that. That's fine, but I think there's a larger benefit to harmonizing around a single ERP or same ERP, different tenants. Now I'm getting really technical, because what Microsoft is investing and pouring their resources in, and what I've seen at different conferences, Man, I think we're all going to benefit from that with very little risk. But it does, where our focus internally is creating that synergy and that harmony, and then the fruits will come. I'm convinced of that.
It's interesting, Tom, you mentioned we're on a Teams call. Think about Microsoft Teams 7 years ago. It was relatively new. Look how far it's come. It's become part of our everyday life. It enables us to interact globally, pretty much instantly, share information, do everything quicker, more efficient. The Microsoft products have been so dependable. So yes, I'm so happy that they are part of our internal systems and we can leverage them and grow our internal processes.
Yeah.
So my alarm just went off. So my official section's over. If you want to keep talking, that's fine. But I came in under, I'm just saying.
You did great.
Congratulations, Tom. Great job.
Yes. Always good to hear you.
Yeah. I mean, well, and any other thoughts or comments? I mean, we have a few more minutes if there are.
Yeah. Any questions from the room?
I have a guardrails comment, but I don't want to keep talking. I know there's others.
I think you might be up. Go for it, please.
Okay. Another, as I'm sitting here listening to everyone and digesting the information, guardrails come to my mind. If I can ask through Copilot, give me information about, the Northeast region, automotive sales, customers that haven't bought in 6 months, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Give me the salary of our top 10 executives in the company. Is Copilot aware? Will Microsoft be aware? You brought up data security, and man, that throws up the us having to think differently of how it's so cool. I can ask something, a question, and get results. Think about the questions that we don't want to be asked that might cause issues within our own 4 walls. So I guess I'm just thinking out loud as to how we approach data security and things you should or shouldn't ask, I guess, if I'm saying that right.
So, well, I got to tell you, in conversations with really smart people who have reason to know things that are well beyond what I know about AI, they almost get apocalyptic about hooking up to the internet, right? Like these are really smart people who write computer code who are like, oh no, I'm not touching that one.
Yeah.
So a healthy dose of, frankly, fear is going to keep you thinking about your strategy around data security, because the truth of the matter is we don't really know how these things are going to continue to learn and what type of inputs might affect their ability to jump a guardrail, as you're talking about, Tony, right? Like we can start with appropriate data security, and likely that will work until the AI or the person attempting to access the data teaches the AI how to get around whatever guardrail you've put in place. So, we could get all theoretical on how that could or could not happen, but the fact is nobody knows definitively. That's the nature of AI. It continues to iterate.
Here, and I'll share a non-apocalyptic, low cost, I'll say safe use that we're starting to do internally. So we have a development team within Protective Industries. We're creating software. I watched a team member leverage Copilot, and you can do this with ChatGPT as well, to create C# code or create a Power App that that serves a purpose. And it was cool. I mean, it did what it was asked. But then, like with the developer example in my head, I'm like, okay, well, did you understand what was created? And he's looking at me like, oh, I mean, it works, and I can kind of get there. That's one example. If you compound 2, 3, 4, 5 things and don't have an understanding of what that created for you or how it got there, that's something you just want to be mindful of. It's super cool that it helped us accomplish a development task we were stuck on. But I think it ups our need to be really focused on QA, but also educating ourselves on the results of that. Because I don't want to be 100% dev team dependent on AI created code.
Well,
Anyway,
it depends on what they're creating, Tony, right? Like at the end of the day,
Yep.
if I'm your scheduler, do I really need to know the mathematical queuing formulas that underlie every single scheduling tool? It's all math. Do I need to know those formulas? Or is it enough to understand the tool and be able to interface with it?
Yeah.
And I don't have it, I don't know. These are great discussions, right? You were bringing up a great point, and I'm just sort of bantering with you a little bit because
Yeah. Yeah, it's exciting. And then Ruby, you mentioned about teams. Teams, that's table stakes. And
Game changer.
it's right. And this will be. And you look at, I attended a PwC conference on AI, and it gave statistics on adoption rates. So you think of adoption rates, how long it took to get to 1 million Twitter users, X users now, or 1 million Facebook users, and it gave you a point in time. ChatGPT, not only did it shatter that record, it got to 100 million users in a fraction of the time it took these companies to get to 1 million users. It's here. It's a freight train.
Yeah.
And we can't ignore it. So everybody's journey will be a little bit different, but forging a path that resists it is not, I wouldn't recommend that.
well, I'm just going to tell you this for sure. This may be the wave, but I'm not letting go of my Betamax yet.
Yes.
Right? Superior technology does not always prevail. That's the moral of that story. But I'm just saying,
Yeah.
I tend to agree with you though, Tony.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like AI should not be ignored, or, to your own detriment.
Yeah.
Learn what you can about it, see where you can step into leveraging it, and maintain a healthy skepticism, security point of view, so that it's sort of a rational, checked approach. And some of those things won't have even been developed yet, but proceed smartly with caution, but don't wait. I mean, that's my takeaway from this. I think it's accessible, and it's going to be everyday reality. So
I know some people in the healthcare industry that are looking at AI, and from a governance, some of the hospital systems are being very cautious in regard to it. But in reality, they do have to take it in small chunks in a safe environment and learn from it, and then find where their guardrails are, where they can use it. And I think that goes for any industry, honestly. Take a small chunk of it, test it out, gain your confidence in it, know what questions to ask, know what you're looking for, and start aligning it with your strategic initiatives.
Yeah.
I think that's what they were trying to do when they created the COVID virus. Isn't that true?
Let's see. With that, Tom.
Yeah, that's right. Hold on. Hey, cut his mic.
Before we take that left turn. So thank you, Tom, so much for being our guest and sharing your insights. I know you're very tapped into the Microsoft community, and Tony, especially, thanks for your comments as well. And it's helpful to hear how another colleague in this space is kind of thinking about how it applies to their business. So super helpful. Thank you guys. Appreciate
Glad to
it.
be here. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Great
Thank you as
discussion.
So much. So I think we have a few more minutes left in our session. Ruby, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, so again, thank you, Tom, for that fantastic presentation. Looking forward to hearing more on the topic. So we want to hear from everybody on the call. Andrea is going to put out a poll. So we want to get some information. We want to know what interests you, what topics you're interested in. Are you interested in meeting virtually, in person, maybe a variation of both? What products you currently use, what products you're interested in. Kind of want to get a feel of what is interest for the group. This is our second session in meeting, and we're very excited to continue this. So we would love your feedback. And if anybody, we can also open up the mic if anybody has any comments or anything they would like to talk about. All right, and I see Andrea has the poll out there.
Yep, and I'll share some of the answers in chat here in a second as they're rolling in.
Okay, great.
But yeah, Ooh, go ahead.
Yeah. Another Microsoft product. We love it.
Because really, I know this group, this is our second meeting for the Buffalo DUG Meetup. We've done 2 virtual events. You know, it seems helpful because you don't have to leave your office or drive anywhere. So virtual helps fit into your day. At the same time, maybe it's better to get out of the office and be focused and meet face to face with people, which, you know, we can do again these days. So we really want to hear from you on, you know, so we can tailor this group to the topics you want and the ways that you want to get them.
Yep. In-person networking events are great. You really do learn more about people. It's a great way to collaborate. And honestly, for Buffalo, knock on wood, we're having a pretty light winter. So gotta love that.
Nice. I know the poll is happening, but any real life comments or topics, like one more topic you'd want to hear about this year, even if it's the follow up to some of Tom's suggestions?
I did like Tom's suggestion about taking AI and maybe doing bank recs or some other incorporation into BC or NAV, depending what product you have.
Well, I think Ruby, Microsoft's going to do some of that for you, right? When you think about the bank rec and the automatic matching, that's what it's going to use behind the scenes to teach. You know, that's where their Microsoft developers were trying to coach me on the proper vernacular, which I just gave up because it's kind of like the math behind the scheduling. I don't care whether it's machine learning or it's AI or it's a workflow. Like, and as an organization, unless you're data scientists or something, I don't think you should care either. What are we trying to do and which tools help us get there
quickly? And there's also, so Andrea, I think there's also options if there's any products that relate to BC or Navision that we could look at as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And so this group, you know, Doug has given us this platform to help share knowledge amongst ourselves, each other. And so it's open to business, you know, all the products. You can say Business Central, F&O, you know, CRM, Power, all of those kinds of things. So it's universal in that they're Microsoft. At the same time, there may be topics that, you know, you want to talk more about that go into one system specifically than another. And I think as we grow the group, we'll be able to do breakout sessions and hopefully meet both of those needs. So universal topics, but then also drill down in lower level details, system specific.
You know, I have a suggestion for you as you grow the group, and thanks again, Ruby, for being an end user leader. These groups don't happen without you. I know Inovia has given you some support, but it takes the users.
My pleasure.
And for those people that are on the call and those that might listen later, it doesn't have to be a huge commitment. particularly if you don't make Ruby do it all alone. You're talking about maybe if you meet once a quarter, you know, you got 3 meetings, one of which maybe ought to be at DynamicsCon Live, like everybody comes together and you do it, you know, at the big user conference. So it doesn't have to be a heavy lift, and you can have a really great meeting that can give you good practical advice you can use right away.
Absolutely, and those connections are valuable as well. I still talk to some of the people that I've met at some of the user groups.
Yeah, because we all have, regardless of what industries we're in, we all have the same challenges. We may all have the same, you know, interest in how we progress our organizations or the functions we represent. Similar pain points, personnel challenges. I mean, it's the list goes on and on and on. So it's a lot of value in peer groups like this. And I echo what you're saying, Tom, and Ruby, for you leading the charge. It's great.
Well, and Liz Hallen said that any group that actually successfully meets 4 quarters in a row and comes to live, she would purchase all your drinks.
Did
We
I
are
say
on
that?
the
I'm
record.
almost certain I heard her say that.
I would purchase your drinks even if you didn't come to all 4 of it.
Yes, and Liz, thanks for joining us today as well. So we appreciate that.
Absolutely. I apologize. I wasn't able to join at the top of the event and the meeting, but I caught the last good portion of it. Excellent presentation, Tom. Thank you.
Well, thanks for having me. I was glad to be here.
Yes.
So Ruby and I are going to continue to use chatting through the Meetup platform. Our group does have almost 40 people who have joined the Meetup group. So again, some people might be watching this afterwards who weren't able to attend today, but we'll keep using that as a mechanism to put out more information on the next event that we're going to have. We'll also do it on LinkedIn. I will just share this as well. Feel free to reach out to Ruby or me directly if you have questions or thoughts, or want to get involved, or at least watch for more information for when we're going to get together again. Any other thoughts and questions, ideas for today? It was great getting together with people. All right, Ruby, anything you want to add?
No, I think we'll just get the tally of our results together, and I guess you and I are going to meet later and start planning our next meeting. So thank you again for Tom and your presentation. It was great. Tony, thank you for letting us, have this today, and all your contributions to this conversation. And looking forward to talking to everybody again.
Have a good rest of your day. Take care.
Thanks,
Bye,
everyone.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, Andrea. Thanks, Ruby.
Bye.